Welcome back to Spirit Squared. I'm Andrew Darrington, your host. Tonight we're coming to you from the Humidor here in Tyler. And thanks so much, Blake and Virginia, for your sponsorship. We really appreciate you guys stepping forward and helping us out with some equipment and obviously drive time and all that good stuff. The Vault and Humidor have been great sponsors of ours, and I really appreciate you guys. Along with Red Construction, Thomas and Martha, thank you so much for your continued support of us. Really appreciate that. And then Hoot Holler Package Store, always in with them because they have the greatest selection, great customer service. And go see Scott and the guys down there in Gun Barrel City. They've got a great selection. If you need to see them for the weekend, drive down there. It's worth the time. They have great selection, lots of different bottles, and it'll be worth your time. Without further ado, we are having a little bit of our Maker's Mark and Stanley Barbecue collaboration. The big release was on Tuesday. It is delightful, very great pour. It's a good representation of the club, the restaurant, as well as Maker's Mark. It's a great pick. If you have a chance to go up to Stanley's, they still have quite a few of those, and they have it at a really good economical rate. So tonight we have Josh Tannehill. He is a cybersecurity professional, and you're based out of Lake Charles, Louisiana.
Yes, sir. That's
right. Really appreciate you coming on the show, and you driving up to come and be on the podcast. I really appreciate that. And you had other commitments that you also kind of didn't get to go to. But I really
double booked myself.
Yeah, you get double booked a lot. We'll get into that here in just a minute, but. So, cybersecurity professional, tell us in a nutshell what that means.
Do you want to start with that, or do you want to talk about how we met?
Let's talk about the nutshell first, and then we'll talk about how we met. Just a general overview, and then we'll dig into the details.
Yeah, so cybersecurity professional basically means the hackers and the criminals, they want to steal your data or your money, and ultimately your money and your and so cybersecurity is just protecting that data and your assets from unauthorized access and unwanted harm. So that's really what it is.
And
we'll get into IT and cybersecurity. They're similar, but there's a little bit of a difference.
Right. So like you said, let's talk a little bit about how we met.
Yes.
Right? So we were in high school, right?
Yep.
And you were going to church in West Monroe. I ended up going to church there with some friends of ours, the Joneses, if they watch this.
Matt and Tracy.
Mason Tracy, yes.
The twins.
Great people. And we meet each other, and we're big into basketball, both of us, at that time. And
always wanted you on my team.
Yeah, they never let us be on the same
No,
team.
we were always had to go.
We were always the A players, right, on the team. And then we kind of kept in contact a little bit during high school, and definitely when you were at River Oaks and I was at St. Fred's, we would always play at least 4 games a year.
It was fun.
Yeah, it was awesome.
You were always very nice.
I tried.
You were good. Too. You were good and not arrogant, and I like that.
Yeah, I took a lot of charges too. Remember that?
No, I don't. I believe you though. I believe you.
Yeah, I got 2 technicals in one game. It was at Cedar Creek though, so. But 2 technicals, you're out. So anyway, when I was telling my parents, hey, I'm having Josh Tannehill on, my dad was like, and I said, remember he shot the ball over behind his head? And he said, oh yeah, I remember him.
Did I?
You shot way behind your back, the back of your neck.
No, I did not.
Yes, you did. Promise
not
you.
On purpose.
Well, I did too. I mean, I shot the ball pretty high.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
that's fun. Anyway, your dad remembers you.
Yeah. So we kind of kept in contact all these years through mostly Facebook. You swung by my house one time.
I did. That was cool.
And of course, getting to see some of your family achievements and stuff like that. And we'll talk about a little bit of that towards the end of the podcast. But just seeing kind of your progression through what we'll talk about next is military.
Yeah.
You were in the military for quite some time. What kind of led to your decision to go to the Air Force?
Yeah. Well, the first thing that led to that decision was when I was at West Monroe High School. I was just an average athlete.
Mm-hmm.
So I was average at that big school, but when my mom and stepdad got divorced the summer before my junior year of high school, my great uncle was trying to recruit me to River Oaks, and so he allowed me to come live with him. My choices was stay at West Monroe with my stepdad, go to Zawali with my mom, or go to River Oaks with my great uncle.
Yeah.
And I chose the great uncle because Monroe was Washita Parish was my area, and I wanted to play all the sports and be at West Monroe, average athlete. At River Oaks, I was like all state, all district, everything.
Yeah.
And so I'm mentioning that because Uncle Johnny became a huge influence in my life.
Sure.
Him and Anna Lois, it was my grandfather's little brother and sister-in-law, and they were hugely impactful and influential. Not only allowed me to have wonderful childhood memories playing sports,
Sure.
but also one day I was sitting there the summer before my senior year of high school, and my great Uncle Johnny comes home from work, and he's a retired master sergeant in the Army and Air Force National Guard, and he's a tough love kind of guy. He loves you, but he's definitely tough love. And he says, "Josh, we need to talk." And I was scared. I was like, "Oh God, did I not mow the lawn? Did I not weed the flower garden right?"
Sounds like my day.
Yeah, like, "Josh, we need to talk." I'm like, "What?" Yes, sir. He goes, "And senior year has not even begun yet. It's still not begun." He's like, "What are you gonna do when you graduate high school?" I'm like, "Uncle Johnny, I'm watching MTV drinking Mountain Dew from a 2-liter. I'm not worried about
Doritos.
I'm not worried what I'm doing when I graduate. I don't know."
Yeah.
He says, "Well, you're not athletic enough for an athletic scholarship. You're not smart enough for an academic scholarship. You have no money. Your family has no money. You can't pay for college. And you can't live here. So what are you going to do?"
Yeah.
Whoa. So when he presented it with no options, my only option was, he said, "You need to join the Air Force." I said, "Yes, sir."
Yeah.
So
you signed up right then?
The very next day, we went to the recruiter's office. It was either the very next day or like two or 3 days later. I was sold. The way he sold it was, I have no life, no career, no hope for future other than the military. Now, I'm 46 years old. I know that was not true now, but at the time, at 17, I didn't know any better.
Right.
So,
well, and he saw things maybe that were like, hey, I don't see him picking a major or talking about a major.
All I cared about was girls.
Oh, of course. And basketball.
Yeah, sports and girls.
Yeah, sports and girls.
That's all I cared about. So it was definitely a good choice. And oh my God, he was so right. The Air Force, it opened me. I had lots of travel experiences. I got wonderful opportunity. I got a skill that set me up for life. And that I could help others with, which we'll get to later.
Yeah. Talk about some of the places you've been, though.
The coolest place I went was Guam for 2 weeks.
Okay.
The Air Force sent me to Guam for 2 weeks, and there's an Air Force base there called Anderson Air Force Base, and it's, if you know where Guam is, it's right under Japan. Yeah. And so Guam is to Japan like Hawaii is to the continental U.S.
Yeah.
That's where all the Japanese go for their vacation, their island vacation. Right. They go to Guam. Well, and I didn't know it at the time when I was there, but Guam. So I saw a meme recently. It said, when you're in your 40s, you either got to start loving World War II history or smoking meats. And I happen to find myself loving some World War II history now. And so one of the fascinating things about Guam that I didn't realize when I was there, and I wish I did, was it was so you could see the Mariana Islands from Guam. And why that's important is because the Mariana Islands is where the Enola Gay launched from when it took off to go drop bombs on Hiroshima. Yeah. And I could see Mariana Islands from Guam. So the Pacific Theater was huge for World War II. Sure. And I was right in the middle of it when I was at Guam. And that was about 2017 time frame when I was there for 2 weeks. And it was just a beautiful island, great culture, but the World War II history was there. And so interesting fact about Enola Gay, early in my Air Force career, the Air Force, in all its wisdom, decided I would be best to go to Offutt Air Force Base in Omaha, Nebraska. Mm-hmm. Now, when I signed up for the Air Force, I did not want to leave Monroe. I had a girlfriend there. I didn't. I had a girlfriend there.
That's pretty naive.
I know.
And but so they probably told you,
I wanted to be near my girlfriend. I wanted to, remember I told you, girls in sports is what I
Sure, of course.
And so I put on they call it a dream sheet, where you get to pick where you can recommend where you'd like them to take you. And so I picked like Barksdale Air Force Base. I picked Little Rock Air Force Base. I picked Columbus Air Force Base in Mississippi. I picked all where I could be. and they sent me to Omaha A&E. And when I got my orders, which is basically my contract that took me where I got to go, it said Omaha A&E, and I was like, New England? I don't even know where New England is. And then I was like, no, that's not New England, that's Nebraska. And so they sent me to Nebraska. But the cool thing about working in Nebraska, going back to the World War II history, is Offutt Air Force Base is a strategic air command base.
Yeah.
And that's where there's this building called the Martin Bomber Building, and that's where Enola Gay was actually built before it got sent to the fight in the war. So I actually worked in this, my office was in this Martin Bomber Building. They had renovated and made it a bunch of different offices. It was no longer a bomber building.
Yeah.
And so that was really fascinating. And then to tie it all together, my grandma Barbara, she's from Monroe. She ran a lab in Ouachita Parish medical lab. And Barbara, she got an autographed picture of Enola Gay. And it's in my office now. My grandma passed away several years ago, and the family gave that to me because it's this autograph of the navigator, Van, I can't remember his name, Van something, was a navigator of Enola Gay when it dropped the bomb on her. So major World War II, world history that I kind of have a little bit of part of, from working in the same office Enola Gay was built in, from having an autograph from the navigator from that Enola Gay. Being in Guam, yeah. So I'm liking me some World War II history now.
Yeah, I think it was Haas, one of our prior guests, that talked about his time in Guam as well. He was in there.
Oh, okay, cool.
And but they were doing some strategic work with jet skis, is what he talked about.
Wow.
And how they would go out and find people that had passed away or they were
kind of like a Coast Guard mission.
Yeah, Coast Guard missions, and they would get on the reef. And they would, get cut up and all.
That's interesting.
And so,
one other thing about my Air Force, the other cool place I went, was not so cool, was Baghdad. So the Air Force sent me to Baghdad, right? And it's a funny story. I would like to tell the story about why I chose IT in the Air Force, and then I would like to tell the story about Baghdad.
Okay, let's talk about IT then.
Okay. So why I chose...
We're not in cyber yet.
I want to tell you why I chose that. Back in 1995, that was the year I joined the Air Force.
Yeah.
And I picked my career. I picked IT. Back before IT was what it is today.
Yeah, sure.
And I give the glory to God, because Uncle Johnny just said join the Air Force. I didn't have really a good mentor that was like, hey, this is the career you need.
Right.
I just knew two things. I knew that the military, if you join the military, all I knew about the military at the age of 17 in 1995 was what I saw on TV in 1992, which was when the U.S. invaded Iraq in Operation Desert Storm.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, okay, if I join the military, I'm probably going to go to war and die. I'm probably going to go to the desert, a lot of sand, a lot of heat. I didn't think of killing people. That never crossed my mind. I thought of me getting. I didn't think of that either. I thought of heat and sand and misery and getting shot at. That's what I thought.
Okay.
If you are looking for a reputable builder with a proven track record and a client base to back it up, give Red Construction and Development LLC a call. Red Construction offers full design build services for new construction, custom homes, and remodeling with free site evaluations. They have an A+ rating with the BBB and are proud members of the Tyler Area Builders Association, Texas Association of Builders, National Association of Home Builders, and the Lindale Area Chamber of Commerce. Red Construction and Development LLC stands behind the exceptional quality of their work and have the expertise, the resources, and dedication to deliver the results you need on time and on budget. To learn more, give them a call at 903-630-8660 or visit them online at redconstructiondevelopment.com.
Some wisdom of God, I guess. I told the recruiter, hey, give me a job in IT. Or no, I didn't say IT. That wasn't an acronym that I knew, but I said, give me a job in computers. That's the word. Because I think the world is going towards computers. And what my logic was that I told the recruiter, and my logic of what I was thinking are similar but two different things. The recruiter, I told him, I don't want to join the Air Force forever. I just want to do my 4 years, let it pay for my college, and then get out. Yeah. And so with that mindset, I was like, I need a skill that can translate to the civilian world where I don't have to be tied to the, like if I'm going to be a tank mechanic, guess what? You're tied to the Army the rest of your life if that's the only trade.
Diesel engines.
Well, diesel, you can do, the economy runs on truck drivers.
Yeah.
So, but I was thinking I needed a skill that translates to the civilian world where I don't have to get shot at. And so I chose computer. That's what I told the recruiter. But also secretly, Andrew, I was thinking, if I go to the desert, if I get sent to Iraq, I want to be in the air-conditioned computer room. And I might not get shot at as much, maybe. So that was my logic. And I'm here, and I'm very proud to tell you that so that was 1995. In the year 2004, the Air Force sent me to Baghdad, Iraq, and I worked in the U.S. Embassy, where the interim Iraqi government was at, in the Green Zone, and where General Casey was, and the U.S. ambassador to Iraq was. I had all the air conditioning. I had the amazing buffet, and the poor Army, and Marines, they were out there. So
sweating their butts off.
So I'm so proud of that choice. Thank you, God, for giving me that wisdom.
Right. What were you there doing?
Dude, that's a sore subject for me, because I had just got we're talking about IT, I had just got my Cisco certification to be a network administrator. So Cisco is one of the, not the food processing company, Cisco, but this is Cisco, the computer networking company. And I had got my CCNA, that's a certified, dude, I can't remember so long ago, CCNA network administrator, a Cisco certified network administrator.
Yeah.
So I had just got that. I thought I was going to go to the U.S. Embassy and run their network and make sure the computers were all talking and
make sure everything's plugged in.
Yeah, make sure everything.
Wi-Fi's up.
I thought I was going to be an IT guy. No, what they had me doing was proofreading PowerPoint slides for the commander of the Green Zone. So when people joke about the Air Force being the PowerPoint Rangers, they were not lying.
Yeah.
I was a PowerPoint Ranger. I'm not proud, but I did risk my life. Somber note, in January of 2005, I was there for Iraq's first ever national election. And right before the election, so the U.S. Embassy was a huge target by the insurgents. They were bombing it. They knew somehow that our shift was 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. We worked 12 hours. So when you're overseas and you're deployed, you have to work 7 days a week. Like you don't get 5 on, 2 off.
Yeah.
You're 7 on, 7 on, 7 on, 7 on for as many months you're there. Your day off is Sunday. Instead of working 12 hours, they'll give you 8-hour shift on Sunday. So that's the level of ops tempo you have. But for some reason, the insurgents knew at 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. there was a shift change.
Right.
And they'll bomb us at 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. like every day. And one time they actually connected, and it hit the U.S. Embassy, and it killed U.S. civilians and Navy personnel. And I was there. It was very sad moment to be there. But luckily, I survived. And I'm also very lucky that I'm one of those Iraq war veterans that does not have PTSD. I don't have any physical. I'm not a disabled veteran. I don't have PTSD. I'm thankful for that.
Yeah, absolutely. So you get in the IT sector. You're in it for your active duty was 4 years, or did you re-up?
Yeah. So the funny thing about your plans when you're 17 is you think you got it mapped out. I planned to do 4 years and get out. Well, I didn't plan to meet a woman when I was in Omaha and get married and then divorce.
Every person we've had on that has military experience always meets a woman.
So I met a woman, got married, and divorced 1 year later.
Okay.
And then I met another woman a few months later.
This is the same story. I swear to God, every podcast we do with a military veteran, it goes the same way.
And then the second woman, I wound up, we got her pregnant.
This sounds the same, too.
And luckily, that's how my little girl was conceived.
Yeah.
And so we got married, and we tried to work it out. Long story short, I wound up doing 9 years active duty Air Force, not 4. And then I did another 12 years in the Alabama and Louisiana Air National Guards.
Okay.
So I retired in 2019 with 21 years of combined service.
Yeah.
And the funny story I tell about that is when I retired in July of 2019, the college football season began in August of 2019.
Yeah.
And a lot of people say it looked like Coach O, the former LSU Tigers head coach. And Coach O won the national championship in college football as my retirement gift.
Yeah.
He was like, "Hey, Josh, go Tigers, we're going to win the national championship for you." And I was like, "Thanks, Coach O," and he did.
Yeah.
So that's a joke. Obviously, they did win, but he didn't do it for me. But I like to tell people he did.
Yeah. He certainly won out. For sure. When they let him go and paid him, it's crazy.
Yeah, and so I went to several LSU games. I could only do like one LSU football game a year when I was serving in the National Guard.
Yeah.
But that year I retired, I was able to make 6 LSU games.
That's good.
And it was the magical 2019 championship year, so it was like, it was a perfect
time.
yeah, it really was.
What did the
And-
National Guard look like? I mean, it was similar, like going in and proofreading PowerPoints? Or?
No. But, so the cool thing about when I retired was I was basically the civilian equivalent of what you would consider like a chief compliance officer. Like all these military bases and military installations, whether it's Army, Navy, Air Force, Coast Guard, you name it, you can't just go buy a computer from Walmart or Best Buy and hook it up to the network.
Yeah.
You can't order it from eBay or Amazon and hook it. You have to order from a special procurement program.
Yes.
And then once you do, and that includes your network gear, your application software, everything has to go through this rigorous
Screening
and vetting process.
downloading,
And then even once you do all that, then there's other people like me. We were called like the cyber Nazis, the security Nazis. We would go inspect and make sure that everything was following protocol and standards. And that's what we call compliance, right? You got to be in compliance with the Air Force standards or the DoD standards.
Right.
And the whole goal there is China, Russia, North Korea, Iran, or Iran, however you say the proper pronunciation, all these adversaries, they want our military secrets.
Sure.
They want the blueprints of our F-22 Raptors. They want to know what missions that we're planning. They want that intelligence. And the way to stop that is you got to make sure you're dotting all your I's and crossing all your T's on all your compliance programs, all your security programs. And so I was basically that security Nazi. I would go around all the different Air National Guard bases in Louisiana, and I would inspect them and make sure that they were following compliance and regulations for computer network security and things of that nature. I really loved the job. And then the reason I retired, though, because they actually asked me to do 2 more years. They dangled a promotion, and I said no. And this is something I want all listeners that are younger than me to think about. Time is the one precious commodity we don't get back. We can make more money. You can sometimes make more kids. You can make more things. But you can't get more time back.
No.
And my daughter was about to graduate high school. She's a class of 2020 graduate, and so she began her senior year in August of 2019.
Yeah.
And I was set to retire in July of 2019.
Right.
And so I told them, I said, I love the job. I love you guys. I love serving my country. I love serving my state. But I want to enjoy my kid's senior year.
Yeah.
And I was able, because prior to that, when I was in Iraq, I missed her Thanksgiving, her Christmas, her New Year's, her birthday, her Valentine's Day. I missed all this.
Dances, all this.
Yeah, well, she was 2 at the time.
Oh, okay. Oh, sorry.
And so there's so much of her life that I could never get back.
Yeah.
So I had this opportunity to at least be there for her senior year. And she was in the band. I'm so proud of her. She made All-State at the big school. All the things that I couldn't do at the big school,
right.
She did the band equivalent. She got scholarships in flute. She made all-district and flute. And she was in all the festivals and all the things. Yeah. And I got to be there for everyone because I served 21 years. I didn't feel guilty about that.
Yeah.
And I give credit to my leadership. When I told them I want to retire so I could spend time with my daughter, no one questioned me. I said, thank you for your service. We understand.
Yep.
So that's
There's
why
your DD-214.
Yeah, there you go.
We're going to ship you to Shreveport first, and then retire. No.
Nope, I was out.
No.
And then speaking of cybersecurity, one cool thing that happened.
So that's where I was going next with cybersecurity.
Yeah, and this ties right in. A great segue to that is, if you guys are watching at home and you do a Google search on Louisiana ransomware attack 2019. The state of Louisiana made national news, not just local news, but national news for having like our whole state under cyber attack. Our DMV was down, our government systems were down because these ransomware hackers basically encrypted all our data and said, if you want it back, got to pay Bitcoin.
You got to pay, ransom.
And so about 2017, when I was still serving, the Louisiana National Guard stood up this Cyber Defense Incident Response Team. And I got to be one of the first ones to join it. And because I was an E7, which is an Air Force rank of Master Sergeant, I got to help, and I did cybersecurity incident response in my day job. Because you got to remember, my National Guard role was part-time. 1 week in a month,
Yeah.
2 weeks a year.
Yeah.
The 2 weeks was Guam, for example.
Yeah.
And so my 1 week in a month, I'm considered a weekend warrior. I'm bringing that civilian expertise to the National Guard. So I helped train the National Guard's, the Louisiana National Guard's cyber incident response team for 2 years, peacetime, no major attacks. The month I retire from the Air Force, I guess the hackers like, okay, JTan's gone.
Right.
JTan's gone. Let's take an opportunistic approach and let's hack them. And so I was so mad. I trained for 2 years to help protect my state, and now I'm out. But the cool thing was I got to go back. The TAG, which is the Adjutant General, each state National Guard has a general in charge that reports to the governor.
Yeah.
In 2019, our TAG was General Curtis. Our governor was John Bell Edwards. Governor Edwards asked the TAG to ask civilians to come help. We need like all hands on deck.
Yeah, yeah.
And so luckily, because my name was still fresh in all their memories, and I was doing cyber incident response for CenturyLink, which is the biggest company in Monroe at the time, our hometown, which is a Fortune 200 telecommunications company now called Lumen. The TAG asked CenturyLink, now Lumen, if they had any resources available to come help. So I got to come back and help as a civilian, wear civilian clothes while all my old National Guard brothers are wearing their uniform.
Right.
So that was kind of cool how that happened.
Yeah, absolutely.
Vault Arms is your premier destination for all things firearms. Extensive selection of handguns, rifles, shotguns, and accessories. Knowledgeable staff to assist you in finding the perfect firearm to fit your needs. State-of-the-art gun range equipped with the latest technology for a safe and thrilling shooting experience. Take advantage of our professional shooting instruction and training programs, suitable for all skill levels. Host your next group outing, corporate event, or bachelor party at our spacious and secure shooting facility. Committed to promoting responsible gun ownership and firearm safety. Fully licensed and compliant with all state and federal regulations.
So what is it, when you go into that type of situation, it's you've got hackers that have already kind of infiltrated and done, they've tied up your databases and frozen computers and stuff like that.
Right.
What are, obviously you've got some trade secrets that you may not want hackers to know, but I don't think we're going to have any hackers.
No, there's no trade secrets.
What are some techniques that you do from a cybersecurity front to unravel some of those and unencrypt things?
Yeah. So I can walk through that at a high level. So when you get hacked, typically, especially now in 2024, most people, businesses, organizations, even government agencies have what's called cybersecurity insurance now.
Okay.
So if you got home insurance, you got auto insurance. Well, now businesses have cybersecurity insurance because we know the hackers. One of my trademarks is hackers going to hack. So stay ready so you don't have to get ready. That's kind of what I'm branding myself, JTan, the cybersecurity man. But it's so true.
Yeah.
And so people know hackers are going to hack, and so
it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
Right. And so the cybersecurity agent companies, insurance companies, have these rules in place. If you get hacked, you got to, step one, call law enforcement or whatever. Step two, call them. And so the school board and the DMVs, they all made sure they engaged their cybersecurity insurance providers. And at that point, the cybersecurity insurance providers will issue that entity what's called a cybersecurity, I can't remember the word, but a person to come out and investigate, collect all the data, all the evidence, and really assess the situation on behalf of the insured. Yeah, I need more drinks. On behalf of the insurance agency. So by the time I got there, a lot of the stuff was already, all the evidence was gathered. So that's one thing. Another thing you need to know with this.
You're trying to get fingerprints of the hackers.
Digital fingerprints.
That's what I'm getting at. Yeah, digital fingerprints. So that way you kind of know who you're dealing with potentially.
You want to get, logs, log everything. And then the incident response is really about humans parsing through all the log data, turning over each leaf, looking for a digital footprint, a digital fingerprint of whodunit. It turns into a big whodunit.
Right.
And in the cybersecurity world, there's this joke about you roll the 12-sided dice of any of the countries, like we mentioned earlier, Iran, Russia, North Korea, China,
Yeah.
I think they had. I think the state of Louisiana did figure out who done it back then. I don't remember who. But yeah, that's the first thing you do is get your insurance agency involved. The second thing is you stop the bleeding. You want to make sure.
Pull the plug.
Right, but you don't want to turn your computer off. If you turn your computer off, you take a chance of losing a lot of that digital information, the digital
the breadcrumbs
that are in memory, in
Gotcha.
volatile memory. And when you turn it off, it goes away. So you can't, but you can unplug the network cable, and then that's any exfiltration, which is basically data loss, should stop. So you stop the bleeding, and then it becomes a major. Back then in 2019. The longest pole in the tent, so to speak, of the project, because it becomes a recovery project at that point, is you can't trust you ever have your truck broken into or your home broken into?
Yes.
You feel so violated.
Sure. Why would somebody do that to me?
You don't know, you can't trust anything at that point.
Right.
And so when your network is violated, you can't email anymore, you can't text, well, you can text, that's all fine. But you can't do your normal applications, your normal online communication.
Right.
You can't email.
We recently had a hospital that got hacked, and it was the same wet thing. Like, you can't look at patient records, and the fear is like, okay, well, somebody else has those records. Well, they're just holding ransom. That's it. Mm-hmm. And so they decided to go to a more archaic process temporarily. Well, it was more of a DOS version of what they did that really wasn't very good. It was dot matrix type stuff where they just kind of had to input everything manually, and they ran on it until the cybersecurity people could come in
and
either role reverse like
you
what
gotta
had
have
happened.
your data should be backed up. You need like 3 backups. You need an online backup. You need an offline backup. There's a lot of methodology that goes into the.
You're talking about backups. You're talking about servers, different
back
servers.
up your data that's on your servers, data that's on your computers,
right?
And so you want the recovery part. You can't just take your old server that got hacked and just restore it,
right?
Because now it's restored, but it's still vulnerable. You didn't do anything to fix it,
right?
So I'm proud to say Louisiana has come a long way since 2019. That was 5 years ago. Yeah, 5 years ago last month, exactly. And so they're a lot more mature in their processes in the recovery. You had to re-image every computer, every server. You had to restore, and then you had to patch. You had to make sure you upgraded all the software, all the firmware.
Almost reinstall everything.
Yeah, you did. Not
change the passwords.
Absolutely. And so we deployed the National Guard. Normally, you hear the National Guard get activated for floods and fires.
Sure.
Absolutely very common. This was the first time in the history of Louisiana National Guard we activated hundreds of airmen and soldiers for a cyber disaster.
Yeah, that's pretty unique.
And I got to be a part of that. So I'm happy about it. Sad that it had to happen, but we've come a long way. And one good thing that happened out of that, remember I told you I came back as a civilian? Well, luckily our National Guard leadership and our GOSEP, which stands for Governor's Office of Homeland Security Emergency Protection, they're a major part of that. They were smart enough to realize, okay, we weren't ready for this. And one of the things we know that we were weak in is we didn't have enough trained cyber personnel in the state to really shorten that recovery time and that downtime. We don't have enough vetted civilians who we can trust to come in. And so back then the idea was born, let's get a workbench of civilians who we trust, who pass a background check, just to kind of work in the background, do their own thing, and if we ever need them, we got a list of people we can bring in, like JTan in 2019.
Right.
And so that idea was born then, and I'm happy to say it is actually mature enough now that we have what's called the first ever Louisiana State Guard Cyber Reserve. And I'm number 2 in command of the Louisiana State Guard Cyber Reserve. As a civilian, I'm the chief. I'm a chief in the State Guard, and my title is Cyber Operations Officer. And my job is to go around statewide. I'm a part-time Louisiana government employee, and I go around statewide to recruit IT and cybersecurity talent in all 9 regions of our state. So GOSEP has it broken down into 9 regions. And so we're trying to recruit top talent and young, inexperienced talent. I want
right.
all skill levels.
Yeah.
And I want them to be vetted where they're I don't even think you have to be a U.S. citizen, but you have to have a driver's license, and I think you got to be a U.S. citizen, maybe, I don't remember. But that's really it. I want people of all skill levels, because what we're tired of having happen in Louisiana, and I'm sure a lot of states suffer with this, is our LSU and our Louisiana colleges. We do a good job of developing this top cyber talent, teaching them, and then they leave the state. All this top talent is leaving Louisiana for whatever reason, and so this cyber reserve, we're trying to give them some real practical job experience and some training and some reasons to stick around Louisiana.
Yeah, that's cool. Very cool. We talked a little bit about cybersecurity, and you've turned that into some volunteering. I think it's kind of tied in with what you do now, like your job now, is that you really want to get the word out of the vulnerabilities and things that we can do as individuals. You talked about a business having insurance. We don't carry around cyber insurance.
Hey, podcast listeners, are you in need of some top-notch libations to elevate your next gathering? Look no further than Hoot and Holler Liquor Store in Gun Barrel City, your go-to liquor store for quality drinks. From smooth bourbons to crisp wines and everything in between, Hoot and Holler has one of the largest and most diverse selections in East Texas. Planning a special occasion? Let our experts guide you to the perfect bottle. You'll receive excellent customer service not offered in the big box chains. Visit Hoot and Holler today and let the good times flow.
What are some vulnerabilities that we have as individuals that you talk about when you speak at some of these events, or do you talk on that level?
I do, yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. So my day job, which reminds me, I was supposed to tell you at the beginning, I work for Global Data Systems as a technical cybersecurity sales consultant. Yes, GDS.
Okay. All right.
But the opinions and views of this podcast do not represent Global Data System. This is JTan, the cybersecurity man, talking to you,
right?
And a retired Air Force veteran talking to you.
Sure.
But yeah, I obviously in my day job I target businesses because I want them to buy cybersecurity solutions and products from me. But I also, now that I'm in, even before I was in sales, I want those relationships and I want to help.
Sure.
I just have that volunteer, altruistic type spirit about me. So before I got in sales just this past year, I've only been in sales 8 months. I spent my previous 27 years of my IT career not in sales at all.
Right.
And
air conditioning.
Yeah, and I started a lot of this cybersecurity, I call it evangelism, raising awareness, way before I got in sales because I want to help people. And so I don't just target businesses or governments. I actually want to help my daughter. I want to help my neighbor. My sweet little neighbor, she's in her 80s, and she fell victim for what I call a tech support scam about a month ago. And what happened was her computer, bless her heart, she went to try to find a chicken salad recipe on Google. And she Googled it, she found a chicken salad recipe, that link that she thought she would click. She clicked it, and all of a sudden her computer started making this very loud, obnoxious noise coming from her speakers. And it said, hey, this is Microsoft, you need to call tech support. So she did. Little 80-year-old called, thinking she's calling Microsoft.
She's calling the Philippines.
Pro tip number 1, Microsoft will never ask you to call them.
Yeah.
So she called the Philippines, right? And what they were trying to do, they're trying to separate her from her money.
Yeah.
So they wanted her to download an app to remote into her computer.
Sure.
And then, for some reason, even though it was on her desktop computer, they told her she needed to download this app on her smartphone.
All right.
And not knowing a lot of things, she was inclined to go ahead and install this app.
Open this browser that has your bank account.
She wanted to install, and then luckily for her, because she's my neighbor and I've been training her up over the past 2 years.
Yeah.
She knew that as soon as the guy started talking to her about her digital wallet on her iPhone, that's when she hung up, and she was like, okay. Because she started to get a little bit suspicious.
Yeah.
But when he asked her to do that, then she knew, okay, this is wrong. So I help my neighbor with stuff like that. I help anybody with stuff like that. So my number 1 tip for people, I just told you, Microsoft won't ask you to call them. Number 2 tip is it's not cybersecurity related, but if you remember that these criminals are trying to separate you from your money or your identity, go ahead and freeze or lock, I can't remember which word, your credit, not your credit cards, but your credit with the 3 credit bureaus. You got Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion.
Yeah, TransUnion.
So go ahead and log onto the app. So if you're not about to buy a house or a car or open a new credit card, then you don't need it active. And so if you lock it or freeze it, then when a criminal does somehow get your identity and they try to go get a car loan or a new credit card, they can't. You will get notified.
So what you're advising is that you lock your credit if you're not using it?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. I've never heard of that.
But not your credit card. You can absolutely lock your credit card when you're not using it.
But they'll still log things, but you're locking it so that you can't apply for new loans.
Correct.
Huh. I've never thought about that at all.
Yeah, and so
interesting.
So that's, you're really protected. And a lot of people ask me, well, what about LifeLock?
Yeah.
Is that worth it? And my answer is yes or no. Yes and no. It depends. And any young person watching wants cybersecurity career advice is when someone asks you a technical question, the answer should be it depends, because there's so many variables that go into making. So
it's the legal answer.
It depends on your scenario, a lot of variables.
Right.
And with LifeLock, I don't think so. LifeLock, in the military, they call an incident the boom. Like a bomb would be a boom. When cyber, a hack would be the boom. So you want to get left a boom if you're looking at a timeline. Left a boom means all the prevention you can do to stop the incident from happening or the bomb from happening. And then right a boom is everything you do recovery after the bomb or the hack happens. So cybersecurity or LifeLock will not really help you on the prevention side of stopping you from getting hacked or losing your identity, but LifeLock would be absolutely very helpful if you do have an identity theft, that someone does open up hundreds of thousands of dollars of loans, because the nightmare happens after you get where you're trying to clean up, you're trying to prove who you are.
Right.
LifeLock will help with that. So I don't know. I don't want to give advice whether you should do LifeLock or not.
Right.
But I also tell people the safest thing you can do. People ask me all the time, which antivirus should I get?
Yeah.
Which computer security software program should I have on my computer? And my answer may not be an expert answer, but it's what I believe is the antivirus software that comes built into Microsoft these days is really top notch. So it really matters less. They're all really good now. What matters more than which antivirus, Norton or Symantec or Microsoft, what matters more is your cyber hygiene and your browsing habits.
Right.
If you're going to Pornhub every day and downloading every video game that you don't know is not a trusted source, then you're most likely going to get hacked. You're going
or answering emails from Prince, somebody.
Right.
You got some endowment.
So that's actually more dangerous than not. You could actually not have antivirus on there and just have really good hygiene and best practices that you deploy, and you'd probably be just fine.
Yeah. Talk to us a little bit about like apps and cookies and things like that. We talked a little bit about this before the podcast. We all know that businesses are selling information to other businesses, and potentially businesses that don't like us so much, or that maybe have bad intentions.
I think TikTok.
Yeah, that's a perfect example for me. It's like it provides no value to me. But unless somebody sends me a text that's a TikTok that they want me to watch.
I hate when they do that.
Yeah, I
don't send me a TikTok link, please.
Yeah, I recently just downloaded TikTok for the first time, just so I could watch a video.
You got to. It's hard not to. I recommend you delete it as soon as you're done.
I mean, I never was a Twitter person. I didn't understand the concept. I understood following people, but I'm not I like reels. Those are cool, but I don't like quick videos that don't make any sense to me, or of people that give no value.
It's because we're old.
Younger
people love it. I don't love it, but I
don't get it. And I also don't get.
I don't either.
I also don't get people that put like emojis on their body, like on their head or on their face.
Wow.
And they're what they're doing. Like where they do the video that puts their face little different ways and stuff like that. I don't get that. I don't understand it, but people do it, and a lot of people like it. I don't understand Island Boys either.
Yeah,
but people like them.
Yeah. So let's talk about app. I'll let you talk about cookies.
Okay.
Because you actually have a very good understanding of cookies, probably
A little bit more. Yeah.
But I'll talk about apps.
Well, and every year, my company is a financial company, and so every year we take, virus training and hacking training and stuff like that to try to prevent. And I'll talk a little bit about what that's about for the business standpoint.
I think the number one thing I want people to know about apps is, and Apple has gotten really good about this, about when you install an app and you try to run it, it says, do you want this to listen to you? Do you want this to track your movement?
Yes.
But
send you updates.
But 2 or 3 years ago, that wasn't available.
Right.
And so someone would install a flashlight app that's just supposed to shine a light. You don't need that flashlight to listen to you. You don't need that flashlight to track your location. But these, bad actors, which is what we call a nice word, politically correct way to say criminals, these bad actors would write this software that would be a flashlight app. And if you go back in time, do you remember the Trojan horse?
Oh, yeah.
That's what the flashlight app became a modern Trojan horse, where you think you're getting one thing, but you're really getting another.
Yeah.
You think you're getting a flashlight, but you're really having Russia, China, whoever, track your every movement, listen to all your audio, all the conversations you're having. You wonder how they know so much, because we installed this listening device for them.
Is that how Temu ends up on my Facebook feed all the time? No, I'm joking.
That's one of the,
I think they do, for sure.
Yeah, so a few years ago,
and
people didn't know about that.
And then if I say something about maybe going to, Mexico, let's go on a trip vacation, let's go to Tahoe.
Well, Facebook is listening.
Next thing you know, boom.
So that's common. Everybody, your smart TV is listening to you. It's always on. Alexa, things are listening, but not everybody knew that. But now, good on the vendors for making us aware now. So 3 years ago, you installed this Trojan flashlight app, you wouldn't have known. But now, when you install it, Apple, I can't speak for Samsung or Android devices. I don't know that ecosystem very well, but I'm very tied into the Apple ecosystem and iOS. And it'll tell you, hey, do you want this to listen? Do you want to?
Yeah.
And you can say allow forever, or you can allow tracking just while you're using that.
Yeah.
But those are the things you need to be aware, is what you are allowing your app to do. You are in control. There's settings.
Yeah.
And so just be aware. And then the cool thing about the phones now, the Apple iPhone specifically, is sometimes apps will be using your camera to see that you didn't even know.
Right.
Or someone could be and be listening in, and you not know, and your camera's in use and you don't know, but the little amber light will now shine. Do you have the newer iPhone?
I do.
Have you seen the amber light when you're in a voice conversation, or your camera's activated? I can't remember. I know when you're in a conversation and audio is listening, it'll give you that light, or when your camera's on, it'll give you the light. So there's a visible indicator now. I have to go back and double check which one or both, but
whenever I have a laptop or a computer and I'm using, I get it antivirus, software that I'm using to try to keep these bad actors to get my stuff and all that kind of stuff. Do we have a form of that, or do we just depend on Apple to have that built in, or are there apps that people can add?
You mean smartphones?
Smartphones. Is there an app or apps for their businesses that I can add an extra layer of security for, and maybe bounce some of this stuff off?
Yeah, there's absolutely third-party software you can install to kind of help secure your phone a little bit harder. I haven't deployed that personally.
Okay.
But the other thing that's very common right now is installing a VPN service.
Yep.
And the VPN stands for Virtual Private Network. And basically, what that does is it encrypts your data. So data is anything, your voice file, your text file, your pictures, your Word docs, anything that is considered data is only in two. It's either at rest, where it's just on your hard drive and not doing anything, or it's in transit.
Yeah.
And so when you want to transit your data, aka email it, text it, somehow upload it to social media, when you're transferring that data from one place to another, you want to make sure that data transfer is encrypted, and that's where a VPN will come in. So like if you're going to go to your bank website from your smartphone's browser, you typically have that browser locked with a little lock, and it's extended and encrypted that way. But if you go connect to a airport Wi-Fi, that's that public Wi-Fi. It can intercept anything, so you want to use your VPN at that for an extra layer of security. So VPN is actually more common layer of security than a phone antivirus type program.
And I have friends that have cold wallets for their crypto, and they use VPN for that. Anytime they open it, because it's so hackable. Cold wallets for crypto it's very easy to jump
and that's
into.
what the hackers are going to want. They want that digital wallet.
Yep. You volunteer quite a bit. We talked about it a little bit. You do a lot of folk speaking. Even last night you were at it looked like maybe a mixer of sorts.
So it wasn't public speaking in that. That was a sake ninja.
But I mean,
that was just me socializing and networking and drinking
you do
some
a lot of
sake.
that type of stuff.
I do.
And there's a lot of people that see value in what you're doing, and you seem to have a passion for that.
I do.
It's what I mean. Where does that? Because that's a selfless act. I mean, we know, and it takes a hell of a lot of energy to do it.
It does.
A lot more than people realize, because it looks fun. It's kind of like traveling,
It is traveling.
Well, but what I mean is that
traveling's fun, but it takes a lot out of you.
It takes a ton out of you. Whenever I leave home, my wife normally says, go have fun. You're going to be away from the house, and I'm going to be eating at a Chili's or Outback or whatever.
Baby.
Yeah, and it's I mean, sure. But for one night, 2 nights, 3 nights, 4 nights, 5 nights in, you start to wear out. And same thing with volunteerism. I mean, it's you volunteer for one thing, and there's a build-up, and there's a meeting, and there's or they ask you to speak, and so then there's an agenda, but I mean, there's more than that. Like there's maybe some monetary things and stuff like that you're involved in. Constantly, I see you on Facebook all the time, tagging people, or you're doing things. Where does it come from?
So I recently wrote on my whiteboard to try to figure out all the things that I'm involved in, because I do feel burnt out.
Yeah.
I love it, but I feel burnt out. And I'm involved in 19 different organizations that I either lead, plan, organize, speak at, or I'm just a regular member. Very few, I'm just a regular member.
Right.
For some reason, I can't just be a regular member.
Yeah.
And so I'm 46 years old now.
We're wired a lot the same too. I mean, from when we were young, when we met, to now, because I volunteer in a lot of different ways, and I can't just be at the table.
Right.
I have to be vocal.
I don't know
I have to be who wants to do this?
Yeah. So at 46, been married. I was married and divorced twice before the age of 27.
Yeah.
Have not been married again since. And so one way I can do it is I'm single. I don't have a girlfriend. I don't have a wife.
Yeah.
I couldn't do all these things if I had a wife.
That's right.
And my kid is 22 and grown and out of the house.
Yeah.
So when I retired from the Air National Guard in 2019, I still had a full-time job, but that military was my part-time, but it took so much energy. And so I really didn't start volunteering a lot until I retired from the National Guard. And then, so now I'm kind of burnt out, and I'm thinking, why do I keep doing it? And doing some soul searching and some midlife crisis, I think it may have stemmed from childhood, where I don't want to shit talk my mom. I love her to death, but I feel like I was always trying to save somebody. And I saw a meme that said, "You give so much to try to help others because it rescues a part of your heart that wanted help when you were a child and didn't get it."
Huh. Okay.
And so I don't want to cry, but I think my volunteerism comes from avoiding loneliness
Yeah.
because I'm not married, don't have a girlfriend.
Sure. So you're staying busy.
Staying busy,
Yeah,
keeping
staying
my
busy.
mind off of my sadness, my loneliness, my
Sure.
whatever. And then it also comes from just naturally wanting to be a helper, wanting to be a giver.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's a combination of those two things. But the coolest thing that I have coming up right now, volunteer-wise, I do a lot for veterans community because they're veteran. I do a lot for cybersecurity because that's my passion. But I have a new passion. One day I was at a park in Lake Charles and I was praying and talking to God. I feel closer to God in nature. And so I was in nature and God spoke to me and God said, JTan, I don't think he called me JTan, but in my mind, for the story, he said, JTan, I need you to volunteer more with the homeless. I'm like, God, I got all this other stuff going on. Right? It's not enough. He said, do more for the homeless. I'm like, well, how do I do that? And he didn't answer me right away. But I knew he put it on my heart probably about a year ago. I need to do more for the homeless. So then as I was leaving the park, the answer came to me. There's this lady at Water's Edge Church in Lake Charles, the church I go to, and she has an amazing homeless mission. So when it's too hot, we don't have homeless shelters in Lake Charles.
Yeah.
When it gets too hot, we open the church for homeless to come cool off. When it gets too cold, we let them warm up. And she's trying to build this multi-purpose center. And so keep that in mind. Also, I have a gift for public speaking. I'm not being bragging,
Same.
but people compliment me.
I don't even know how. I went to a couple classes and that's it.
I didn't have
I
formal
think it's
training.
more of just being a leader
And being confident in what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So people always compliment me, oh, you're such a good speaker. And I'm an extroverted introvert because I need to recharge. I can't just be extroverted all the time.
Yeah.
So a combination of extrovert, a Christian, a leader, and I'm funny. I think I'm one of the funniest guys I know. So I put all that together. I was like, okay, I don't need to help the homeless directly.
Yeah.
I just need to go help Water's Edge and their mission. And they're trying to build this multi-million-dollar multi-purpose center for the homeless.
Yeah.
So let me do a comedy fundraiser. So I'm proud to
I
announce
saw that.
I've got a comedy fundraiser coming up September 6th at Water's Edge Church in Lake Charles. And I'm going to do a little stand-up bit. I got 2 other comics doing a stand-up bit. And I'm trying to collect donations. And we're going to do VIP tickets. And we're going to have the youth at the church. They're going to be waiters. We're going to have somebody cook all food. And all the money is going to the homeless.
That's good.
So it's just another way. I'm like, why am I doing? I had 19 things, now I got 20 things.
Right.
But God called me to do that.
That's awesome, man.
But I think I answered the question. It's avoiding loneliness,
yeah.
and I just want to help people.
Yeah, for me, I think it's a lot of check of the box. My sister was very decorated. I'm having her on a couple weeks from now.
Okay, cool.
She's now a dean.
Dang, she fancy.
She's got all the smarts. And it's gonna be fun. Like we're gonna have my parents up and be able to, and we're gonna do it live. We'll have some people watching us, and it's gonna be really fun. But some of that
Family gathering
nature. But once I got out of the house, it was I was in a fraternity that helped some because you're competing against other guys to not only for the seniority attention, but you know that you're in a group of leaders and alpha personalities, and so you leave there. I go through a divorce, which was mostly my fault, and then I recovered, thankfully, and then bam, I'm in a really good spot to grow, and then just did it the right way, found the right girl, and then the rest is history. You find me 20 years later.
Oh, congrats,
and
man.
we're doing this, and
This is
been a
fun.
blast, man. It's really been a blast. Okay.
The Humidor is your online cigar retailing headquarters. Our experienced staff has spent years finding some of the best cigars from around the world to sell to our customers. If you're looking for an online cigar store that can help you find your next favorite smoke, welcome to the Humidor. We began the Humidor because of our deep appreciation of the finer things in life, a good conversation with friends, an aged whiskey, and, of course, a fine smoke. That's why, in addition to selling premium cigars online, we also operate a brick-and-mortar cigar lounge in Tyler, Texas. Our lounge is crafted to provide a classic ambience with modern sensibilities, and we've spent time ensuring that smokers and non-smokers have an enjoyable experience, whether they're there for a drink with friends or to enjoy the game.
Let's talk about how, if somebody's partially interested in cybersecurity or they're interested in cybersecurity, whether it be in a professional level or they're thinking about the military, how do they get a hold of you? How do they link up, or how do they, find your company, or maybe find more information about cybersecurity, how to get into it?
Yeah, so great question. A lot of people ask me about cybersecurity, how to get into it, and one of their specific questions is, do I need to get IT certifications or cybersecurity certifications, or do I need to go to college, tech school, get a degree? And my answer is both. You want to do both. It's not going to hurt you to do both. The certifications will give you that instant gratification that'll help you immediately, and your degree will help you long term. So that's one answer. Another answer is get both, but really the differentiator is going to be your experience. Volunteer at your church to help them data security, protect their data, do AV, something with the computers. Volunteer for a nonprofit organization.
I love it.
A lot of people don't realize that the experience that you put on your resume doesn't have to be paid experience. You could go help a nonprofit out by just helping them build a website. Websites are easy to build now with these different builder sites. They're easy to certain people, but they're hard for other people. So you do that, you get that experience on your resume. And when it comes to choosing a cybersecurity career, a lot of people don't understand. The average person doesn't understand that cybersecurity, although it's one word, it's got about 10 different verticals and disciplines that you could get into. Much like a lawyer, you think you want to be a lawyer, where there's family law, there's corporate law, there's merger and acquisition law, there's tax law, there's different specialties in lawyer. And doctors are different specialties of doctor. You got your foot doctor, your eye doctor, your this doctor, your brain doctor. Cybersecurity is the same way. So you think you want to do cybersecurity, but then I challenge you to take a deeper look. And there's this, if you do a Google search for cybersecurity career path certifications, cybersecurity certification path, it'll break that down, and it'll help you figure out which vertical you may want to get into within cybersecurity.
Right.
And it'll tell you which certification to start with for entry level, then mid level, and then senior level. So I don't know, do you have a show notes for this? Can we put that link there somehow?
Yeah, I mean, we can add the link. You sent it to me, and I was like, I don't know.
Okay.
I saw the different disciplines listed out,
Yeah.
and it made sense to me. And then there was a bunch of acronyms to that,
Right.
And I clicked on a couple of them, and then it described it. So yeah, absolutely can add the link.
Okay.
So that way, folks, if there's some questions about what's the pathway to X,
Right.
then they'd know. Okay,
Yeah.
I want to be in security, or I want to be in compliance, or I want to be in something else. Then I understand. Okay,
Right.
programming. I got to go here and get
And
started.
a lot of
in this
people
area.
think that in order to be a cybersecurity professional, you have to know computer software, coding, programming, and you don't. There's actually ways to cybersecurity without having to write code. I'm living proof of that. 46 years old, 27 years. I've never written a software program because I hate it. I started with network security. But another key thing that I want people to realize, especially the younger audience, is when you're trying to figure out which path you want to go, you are only on this earth a little bit of time. So of course you want to choose something you're good at or you like and enjoy. But if you don't enjoy any of it and you're doing it because you need a solid career, that's fine. Just pick the path that pays the most money. So you can do salary surveys. You can find each discipline and then do a salary survey.
Yeah.
One thing other that I didn't learn until I started asking questions is I thought I wanted to do digital forensics, help the police find the child predators or whatever. And that's a great career, and we need people like that. But be mindful of what you're getting into, especially in digital forensics, especially on the law enforcement support side. You're going to see a lot of images that you probably never want to see.
Right.
And so mental health is a big, huge part of law enforcement, digital forensics career. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah. Well, we're kind of to the end, right?
Yeah.
And
I told you we could talk all day.
Yeah, we could, but we're not. You brought something very cool for us to make here at the end, and I'd like for you to go ahead and make it, and then we'll talk about our final segment.
Okay.
So you brought
Sounds good.
an old fashioned for us to make. I'm going to try to do my best to not spill stuff here.
Yeah, let's get some ice. Can you put some ice in there for me?
Yeah. I'm going to pour some of this water out here. JTan, the old-fashioned man. There we go. And then this is your cup here.
Okay. We need another one. I think it might be in there. Because this doesn't pour much.
Huh?
We need another one.
Oh, we got.
I think it's in there.
Wait a minute. Yeah.
I don't know where the other one went. If we had
Okay.
two out.
Gotcha. I think you've got one over there.
Unless you want to just split this, that's fine. Because it's up to you. You want to just split this?
No, that's fine.
All right.
Okay. This is all the ice I got left. Sorry, you can have some of mine. Actually, I don't need that much. Just split it.
Are y'all gonna split one? Okay.
Yeah, we'll split one.
And then,
All right, and then so what we're having here for the Spotify listeners is this is the Tip Top proper cocktails version of an old ready to drink or RTD old fashioned. It says it has whiskey sugar bitters in it, and we poured it over a little bit of ice. It's got great color, or nice dark color. And then if you're going to make a proper old fashioned, you have to use Luxardo. You got to spring for it. It's a little more expensive. A jar of that's probably what, $17?
I don't remember.
Okay, it's about $17. Super sugary, and got a great syrup to it. And then I think we're ready. JTan's going to use a smoker here
Yeah.
to
So
make.
can I talk about this kit I bought?
Yes,
I don't
go ahead.
remember the name of the kit, but I bought just a smoke kit. You can get this. You can Amazon is where I got mine.
Okay.
And it comes with the torch.
The Amazon?
The Amazon.
The Amazon.
And it comes with this little lid thing that's specially crafted with a little hole in there. You put the wood chips
Yeah.
in there, and
We're going with cherry tonight.
Yeah, I bought a bunch of. I bought this as an add-on.
Yeah.
It's the cocktail wooden chips premium, and there's like 2, 4, 6, 10 different flavors of wood chips, and we chose the cherry.
Right.
And it's really simple. You just light the chips on fire, and it starts smoking. Now, I've never done it with this many wood chips in it.
But hey, now's the time to do it.
We're learning, because if you do it as prescribed, you're supposed to put just a little bit of wood chips in and
Right.
do about 2 drinks. But we're trying to make 3, so, and I don't know if you can see on screen, but it's
Well, yeah, eventually they will. When we go,
it's
when we go
filling
to
up,
YouTube.
Yeah, it's filling up the drink with all the smoke.
Oh yeah, it's just billowing in there.
And I think it's important to note that this smoked old fashioned, it doesn't really enhance flavor. It enhances flavor maybe a little bit, but really what it does, it enhances the aroma and the experience. It's really what it is. It's about the aroma and the experience.
It's decorating the drink.
It feels like you're drinking a campfire. That's how I describe it.
Oh.
If you love going camping and campfires, that's what it feels like to me.
Okay, I think we're ready.
Yeah, go ahead and take the lid off.
All right, and then I'm going to grab it real quick so that way.
And then you can kind of just fan it to, and it's like you're drinking a campfire.
It is. It has a pretty strong aroma, that's for sure.
Look at that. That's so cool. So I think mine's getting a little bit smokier than yours because I guess
it already had
it went down a little bit. It burned some of the top level off. You want some?
Yeah, sure.
We just hand this to you actually, huh? Oh yeah.
No, you drink that. He can burn this off.
Are you sure?
He's a pro.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is so cool to me. I just love that campfire aroma. That's what.
My mom loves smoked old fashioned.
Oh yeah.
But she likes whenever they put the whole jar over the top. You know, the big deal.
I think I've seen that.
Yeah.
So I do want to give a shout out to my friend.
Yes. It is time for shout out.
Shout out. Okay.
Yes.
So my friend Ashley Rosa, she owns Lake Street Liquor in Lake Charles.
Okay.
So she is a small business owner, and she does called Coffee for the Courageous. And what it is she's not a veteran. but she loves the military. She's a patriot. She loves supporting veterans. So she allows veterans to come. She opens up her liquor store early, the second Saturday of each month in Lake Charles, and it's open only to veterans. And there's no sales pitch. There's no gimmicks. She just gives you breakfast food and coffee, and she lets veterans talk and mingle and have that outlet to connect with other veterans. And so she definitely gives a military discount. And so one day she had, on Fridays, not veteran related, she has what she calls a Cool Kid Friday. And she'll have different vendors come in to do little tasting and sampling. And that's where I discovered this tip-top old-fashioned ready-to-drink.
Yeah.
Was at her Cool Kid Friday, and I didn't think I would like it.
Yeah.
But also what I hate more than ready-to-drink mix is I hate making drinks myself because I'm not good at it.
Yeah.
So I saw
Well,
this,
it takes a long time.
yeah. And it's like when you're hosting a party or something,
Yeah, just dump it in.
you're trying to mingle and socialize with your guests, but this is just so much quicker.
Yeah.
And you add that, you get the cherry in, and you can get some garnishments if you want.
Yeah.
I'm not a big garnishment
That's
guy.
great, man.
And
Great job.
so,
Great job.
Yeah, so shout out to Ashley for introducing me to these ready-to-drink cocktails. I didn't even know they existed.
Yeah. Yeah. Who else? Sorry, I'm not going to let you drink much.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
I can list a shout out while you have a drink.
Yeah, go ahead.
So something that was introduced to me recently, it's pretty new to me. Two things. One, I was having a lot of back pain, and there's a local business in town. Let me take a step back. I'm not a big fan of chiropractors. I'm just not. I had one chiropractor I really liked. The rest of them I didn't like. There's a local business here in town called Stretch Tyler. Okay, Stretch Zone in Tyler. I went there with a lot of back pain,
Sorry to hear that.
and mostly from golf and from a variety of different things. And they, over a couple weeks, have, absolutely improved my life.
Wow.
Okay, and we're talking about you walk away and you can all of a sudden just feel blood going to the bottom half. I can feel blood going to the bottom half of my body. So shout out to Stretch Stone because, and not only that, but they assign you a stretch artist or what have you, which kind of sounds wonky, but
It does sound long.
the guy, every time I go in, he picks up from our conversation the last time we were there. Now they probably have a program that kind of helps, they
AI.
They type
We didn't
in,
even talk about AI.
they type in. No, I don't even want to go down that path. But they probably have a program. They type in notes and hey, we worked his hips this time or his back. But he picks up on conversations about my son, about my job, about like thing because you're stretching somebody.
They personalize it.
Yeah, I mean
And
it's
that's a
and they
service.
remember it,
Yeah,
and it's covered by HSA, which is awesome because I have an HSA, and as a 46-year-old, I don't really use it a lot, and so I haven't gotten to that stage of life where I'm constantly in the
It's coming,
needing.
though.
Oh yeah, it's come for all of us for sure.
Right, for sure.
The other thing I've done recently is it's called LifeWave, and it's a phototherapy. It's supposed to awake dormant stem cells. Again, it's one of those therapies that could be looked at as kind of
Controversial.
Yeah, exactly,
Okay.
exactly. And it's supposed to activate peptides. And here's the one thing I'll tell you about it. There's a couple things that for sure 100% I've noticed, and maybe it was because I've using it. Because if you're using something, you want your body or your mind wants it to work, right? All right, two things for sure that it's improved that my mind couldn't control. One is I've had a lot less gray hair. Okay?
Wow.
That's one thing for sure. It's undeniable.
Okay.
I have less. Now, I do cut my hair pretty short, but gray it exists in my beard, and it's a lot less. Very noticeable.
Okay.
Number two is I have golfer's elbow on my right arm. And it was so bad that when I lifted or worked out or whatever, I would have to wear an elbow pad. And I haven't had to wear an elbow pad in 3 weeks. I was using it for, I was using my elbow pad for almost a year. I went to go do an overextension and hurt it, and I've been wearing an elbow pad ever since. I mean, tennis elbow. It's really golfer's elbow. It's just from playing golf, my right side, and have not worn it since. So those
What's
two
that therapy
things.
called?
It's phototherapy.
Phototherapy.
Phototherapy. It's become, well, and I'm not going to promote. I mean, I'm not here to try to promote. I'm just saying that those are two things at 46 that I've done. Stretching for sure, 100%. I mean, like, people don't realize the benefit of doing that. We wake up and we just start going.
Yeah.
Like, if you would just spend, and a lot of people do yoga. I can't do that. Getting in those weird positions and stuff. But what I'm telling you is stretching. I didn't. And my dad told me about it. He's like, "Hey, stretch. Do this, do that." And I was like, no. Then I had this back pain. Went there for the first time. Bam.
Wow.
I walked away and I felt like blood was just running to my legs again. It was the weirdest feeling. And all they did was do stretching, almost like when we were in basketball and you had a partner.
The buddy stretch.
Buddy.
They do your legs.
Same way.
Oh, bro,
it was so good. It was the same thing, but you're paying for it.
Well, that's cool. At least you can grow a beard. I'm 46. I still can't grow a beard. I blame my native.
Not all heroes wear capes. Right?
My Native American ancestry for that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right, more shout outs. Sorry, I gave you some time.
Oh no, you're good. And I was trying to think and listen at the same time, and I don't multitask well, so I didn't really think much because I was listening. It was very interesting. I know I can give a shout out to my Uncle Johnny, but I kind of did that because I know he pushed me to the Air Force. But my stepdad comes to mind, and my daughter. I can tell you about my daughter. She
your daughter to me would be like very influential because like I adopted my son and he made me a dad immediately. He made me a dad at he called me dad at like 3 or 4. And so then it's like, oh, okay. Yeah. I got another human that is depending on me.
Changes your perspective, doesn't it?
I got to clean up some things.
Same. So, my daughter and I, and her mom, my ex-wife, we didn't have a traditional, you get married, then you get pregnant. And my daughter knows this. She's 22. She knows the truth here. She, so when me and her mom found out we're having a kid, we didn't really work out just yet. And then when my daughter was about 1 year old, me and the ex-wife were not married yet, and we went and had a paternity test. So from the age of birth to 1, I wasn't quite sure if she was mine. There was some questions.
Yeah.
And then the paternity test said, "This is your kid, 99.99999%."
Yeah.
And I remember reading the judge's order and hearing the judge's order that you must pay child support and da-da-da, and that's when my life, I didn't care about child support.
Yeah.
I didn't care. I just cared, like, this is my kid now. Like, whoa.
Yep.
My life is not about me anymore. My life is about this. She did not ask to be brought into this world. Yeah. Me and her mom made an adult decision, brought this child here. She's mine. I have to do everything I can to make sure she's provided for. And I am proud to say I made so many sacrifices for her. But you can't brag about sacrificing for your kid because that's what dads do.
Yeah,
that's what you do. But I did. I made sacrifices.
She's a champion, man. I see the post.
I'm so proud of her. She graduated college in 3 years. She's a medical lab scientist at 22 years old, working at a hospital.
Crazy.
Her and her fiance own their own house at 22 years old.
We would have never done that.
And I'm proud to say I helped give her that head start in life.
Yeah.
I made sure. I remember telling her at 16, don't get a job. Study.
Yeah.
I'll provide for you.
You were her Uncle Johnny, right?
Well, her dad. As long as you're going to school, I'll pay for everything. I'll take care of everything. As long as you're making your grades and your career a priority, I'll continue to pay for everything. But I said, because if you go work a part-time job right now, you're going to lose some of your childhood.
Yeah.
And childhood goes by so fast.
Oh, yeah.
And you have the rest of your life to work.
Right.
Once you start working, you're going to be working for the rest of your life. If you're like me, hopefully she'll be better than me, and she only has to work 20, 30 years, and she can retire early. I don't know.
Yes.
But so that was my choice, to sacrifice for her, to give her the head start in life that I didn't have.
Sure.
And but yeah, she's definitely a motivation. I know one good thing. Well, there's many good things, but one unique thing that girl dads probably thought of. I didn't. Kobe Bryant was a girl dad.
Yeah.
And I'm proud to be a girl dad. But prior to being a girl dad, I did not know what the term feminist meant. I knew feminism from just the news and TV, and I thought it meant a woman who hated men.
Yeah.
I thought it was a man hater. But about 10 years ago, when my daughter was about 12, someone enlightened me that no, feminism just means you want equal rights and fair treatment for women.
Sure.
I was like, well, I'm a feminist. I got a little girl. She can do anything a guy can do.
Right.
And so I'm a feminist, and I'm proud of
Equal
it.
opportunity.
Yeah. And so that's something that it made me treat in my dating life. I always consider, okay, this is how I'm treating this woman. Would I want someone to treat my daughter like that? It opened my eyes.
Sure.
Like, just different things like that. So being a girl dad, I'm very proud of. My daughter's definitely an inspiration to me.
Cool.
I grew up fast. I'm 46, she's 22, so I had her at 24.
Yeah.
I wasn't ready. But ready or not, here she comes, and here she is, and there she goes. And now she's got her life, and I miss her, and I love her.
And now you can watch her, and hopefully next step, grandparent.
Yeah,
maybe.
I'm. You spent when your daughter's 10, 11, you're like never but now grandkids is kind of. I'll be a much better grandfather than I was a father. That's for sure.
I'm right there with you. Cheers.
Yeah, cheers, buddy.
Hey, thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah, thanks.
Really appreciate it. I mean, I really enjoyed this. I enjoyed the conversation, and it helped me understand how much parallel we have.
Mm-hmm.
It reinstilled that, because we have a lot of things that are parallel.
Very cool. Starting with basketball in the 90s.
Yeah, that's right. All right. Well, our next guest is going to be Patrick Willis. He is a pretty cool cat.
For Ole Miss?
No. This guy's out of Tyler. Met him recently. He's a great guy. He's going to talk to us a lot about philanthropy and talk about the Tyler Rose Festival and a lot of things about Tyler. I'm not sure where we're going to have that one, but can't wait to have him on. Loved having you on. Thanks so much for driving up from Louisiana.
It's a 4-hour drive.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
Yeah. Until next time, thanks so much for tuning in.
Thank you.
Cheers.